just got even more drama. Just when you think Seattle is going to plateau off a little bit, former Seattle Police Department Chief Adrian Diaz fired, accused of lying about relationship with staffer that he was having I think they were dating, even though he's gay, he was dating a woman. They left a love note in one of the company cars. Not good. Let's get into it. Here we go. I'd say Seattle is embarrassing, but if I didn't have all this ridiculous nonsense, what would we even talk about? Hey, weather's looking good out there. It's all good. Nah, we got to cover this stuff. This is the goods. Here we go.
Diaz denies the allegations. Mayor Bruce Harrell says, based on the findings of a report, Diaz violated 4 SPD policies, including a policy about dishonesty.
The turmoil that led up to Adrian Diaz's termination involves allegations that surfaced about him having a relationship with his former director of communications, Jamie Tomkins, and lying about it.
To figure out when somebody
Both Diaz and Tomkins deny having a romantic relationship. In this newly released letter, Mayor Bruce Harrell reveals the findings of a report from the Inspector General and the reasons for Diaz's dismissal.
The number one worst thing that he did, allegedly, is he lied. He lied during an investigation. And as a police officer, you cannot do that.
Diaz denies lying, but the mayor's letter states that Diaz made false statements. It also claims there were policy violations involving professionalism and disclosing conflicts of interest.
Supervising her, bypassing the normal background processes, all of that. It's a recipe for disaster. And we've seen how it worked out.
Tomkins stepped down in November after both were put on leave for personnel reasons.
And the community that has supported us through every challenge.
Back in May, Diaz was reassigned to work.
Good Lord, the drama. I mean, look at this guy. He's just, Meanwhile, Seattle's locking how many? 600 cops? We got this going on? I mean, this is what you get, right? I mean, just the drama, the craziness. I'm gay. I'm not gay. Hey, having sex with one of my people that I hired on to a position that I didn't really do backgrounds with. And she writes me a love letter. We leave it in the car and then we both lie about it. And she tries to give a fake handwriting sample. Maybe has one of her friends do some handwriting. Just some wild stuff.
Work on special projects. In October,
Big hug.
Filed a $10 million claim against the city, alleging discrimination and harassment after coming out as gay. In a statement, Jamie Tomkins said, quote, I support Chief Diaz and his family. The city has lost a fine public servant and a dedicated officer.
That I was boning. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, allegedly.
The allegation that Chief Diaz and I were in a romantic or sexual relationship is completely false and highly damaging to both his and my professional reputations.
All right, so fine. What happened then? What happened? I used to enjoy watching Jamie Tomkins, and whether she, had this relationship with Chief Diaz, I don't really care. Just don't lie about it, right? Hey, yeah, you know what? I find the guy he's a babe magnet. And so, we just went there. And Chief Diaz, hey, if he likes guys, if he likes girls, I don't really care. You know what I mean? Just don't lie to us about it. Or, try and cover it up with, hey, let's have you write a little handwritten note that doesn't match up that original one.
And Diaz responded, saying, quote, I was deeply saddened and blindsided by Mayor Harrell's decision earlier today to terminate my employment.
No, he wasn't.
I strongly disagree with both the decision and the purported reasons behind it. I look forward to clearing my name and exposing the city's retaliatory actions.
In a statement, the mayor said he made the decision to remove Diaz based on the report from the Inspector General, which he called robust and thorough. In Seattle, Natalie Swaby, King 5 News.
Adrian Diaz has been with the Seattle Police Department for decades, starting as an officer in 1997. He worked patrol and anti-crime before moving to the Investigations Bureau. Diaz was promoted to lieutenant in 2014, then assistant chief in 2018. Deputy chief just before he took over for Carmen Best as the interim chief in 2020.
So he inherited kind of a mess. He was interim chief Adrian Diaz for literally, I think, a couple of years. And then he became permanent Chief Diaz. But he took over for Common Best because Seattle defunded their police. We had that whole Chop Chaz thing go down. That whole thing was just absolutely rigged from the top down. I'm convinced. I mean, it just was. And so you put a police chief through that, and then you tell her, oh, hey, by the way, yeah, we're going to cut, funding to Seattle Police Department because, during the Fentanyl Floyd era, cutting funding, defunding the police was a real thing. Now, a split second of that, and then crime goes to the moon, and then we realize maybe that wasn't such a good idea. Hey, let's refund the police, but the damage has already been done. So fast forward to this, here we are.
That was in the wake of the nationwide protests over policing. 2 years later, Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell picked Diaz as the permanent chief, and Diaz was sworn in January of 2023. That's when we get to the latest series of events. Diaz was removed in May of this year. He was then moved to special projects before he was placed on leave in October. Less than 2 months later, he is officially out of a job with the department.
So I think one of the things that was interesting about this was you've got this Office of Inspector General now that comes in and basically takes a look at the Seattle Police Department. And from my understanding, they did a pretty bang-up job on looking into this and going, all right, here's what you've got. I've looked briefly at their findings. There's 4 pretty main things where they said, based on this, and this, you're fired. You're fired. Now, what was also interesting is Chief Diaz came out on Jason Rantz's show as gay right before he basically got fired. And then in late October, Diaz filed a $10 million claim against the city alleging discrimination, harassment. Diaz claimed he was wrongfully discharged. Diaz alleged that he was discriminated against, harassed, and retaliated against after expressing his sexual orientation to Harrell and Deputy Mayor Tim Burgess. Well, the problem there is there's another 4 police officers in the Seattle Police Department that have alleged that Diaz basically sexually harassed them and basically just created a work environment that wasn't all that swell. And by that, I mean they went as far as putting their careers on the line and making some formal complaints against Chief Diaz. Then he said, wait a minute, I can't be harassing women. I'm gay. I'm gay. It's what we're doing. Did that on the Jason Rantz show. So, whether you harass people, whether you're gay, bisexual, straight, whatever it is, you harass people, you harass people. You lie. Nobody cares about all the other details. Who you want to bang, that's on you. That's your thing. And then the cover up from Jamie Tomkins, I mean, it's pretty interesting. Here's the next article. Intimate relationship with staffer. Adrian Diaz, investigation claims Diaz had an intimate or romantic relationship with a former police department employee, Jamie Tomkins, Seattle television anchor. She was on Fox and she was also on Como. Resigned from her position as Seattle Police Department's director of communications last month. In a statement of the Jason Rantz show on KTTH, she denied she was in a romantic or sexual relationship with Diaz, but she left a handwritten note to him. And it got found. And that's kind of the basis of what's going on. There was rumors and allegations before that. Also, Chief Diaz said, yep, I might have been having sex with her too. We don't know exactly what he said, but he talked about it with coworkers as well. I support Chief Diaz and his family, Tomkins said. The city has lost a fine public servant and a dedicated officer. Allegation that Chief Diaz and I were in a romantic relationship, completely false. Okay, well, we'll let the courts work that out, right? He did not acknowledge apparent conflict of interest. This is why he was fired. That's why the Inspector General was found out. Markovich said it violated the professional and, most importantly, the number one thing, dishonesty in the policy. That's why he was fired for. Not all the other stuff you heard about the lawsuits and everything else. He was fired for being dishonest, not being professional, avoiding disclosing conflicts of interest, and an improper relationship with the subordinate. Got him on 4 things, pretty much just straight on direct. Yet he's throwing in this, $10 million lawsuit. Markovich also discussed Diaz compensation, noting he was getting paid his full yearly salary, $340,000. Not anymore. Boom. Done. That is gone. Here's another article that kind of gives a little bit more background. Months ago, allegations surfaced that suggested the chief was having a romantic relationship with department employee. Investigation said in part that Diaz had an intimate romantic relationship with a former employee. Diaz hired and then directly supervised the employee, and that employee wrote a handwritten card to Diaz that indicates a romantic or intimate relationship took place between Diaz and the employee. As a leader, those are serious charges, and the investigation found for them to be true. We can't continue on that way. Here's former Chief of Police Adrian Diaz and his alleged former employee / lover. We don't really know, Jamie Tomkins. Whether or not we know, don't know, I think that doesn't really matter, does it? It's the fact that lies were purported and protocol wasn't followed. And when you are a chief of police of a city as large as Seattle is, with as much going on as Seattle has going on, you can't pull the shenanigans that are going on. And when Bruce Harrell, when he basically told interim chief Diaz that, hey, I got to put you on hold. I got to put you on the sidelines here because there was just so much drama happening that he couldn't have Chief Diaz operating as chief of police in Seattle. So when he did that, he sidelined him in October. And actually, that was in May. And then something else happened in October. And now, as of, I think it was yesterday, that the hammer was dropped and Chief Diaz is, he's been waxed from Seattle Police Department. Now, it's my understanding that Chief Diaz did go and interview for, I believe it was the Austin Police Department, but with as much stuff as going on here and with an investigation like was happening, it was very unlikely that Chief Diaz would get that job. I'm sure he'll end up somewhere else. Jamie Tomkins, man, I don't know. I mean, this isn't really on her. She was involved. She played a part in it. I don't know. She's a reporter. I'm sure she'll find she's been a good reporter for years and years and years. Probably what I would say there is maybe possibly bad judgment and then lying because there was some, hey, here's my handwriting sample. That's not your handwriting. Some of that stuff went on. No, we didn't have a relationship. Well, it kind of looks like you did. Either which way, the optics are not good. But, at this point, Chief Diaz is out of there. She's been fired from her position, or she actually left her position with the Seattle Police Department, knowing that she'd probably be let go either which way, as Chief Diaz was. So as the world turns in Seattle, Washington, man, we've just got a bunch of nonsense going on. We've got nonsense for days. And if we didn't have this nonsense, what do we talk about? All right. Thanks again for being here. Catch up with you in the next one. Bye for now.